My name is Mike, and I'm here today to talk to you about cranes and crane charges, because unfortunately we see far too many people getting taken advantage of by crooked contractors because this is an area that they have no idea how much it should cost, and so we want to educate you a little bit on the crane and the crane need on your property. First of all, it's important to understand that cranes typically are only necessary if you can't get to an area that you're trying to put the pool in. We see in North Texas a lot of times there's problems with these subdivisions becoming so tight that 16-foot wide pool that you want to get through just doesn't have enough space between you and your neighbor's property, or maybe the neighbor's not keen on you going through their property. One way or another, that restriction causes the need for a crane. Or if you're in a situation where you have, say, ornamental or functional retaining walls, landscape, fences, things of that nature, where we simply can't navigate up to the hole that we need to put the pool into, these are where cranes come in handy. Now, let's talk about a couple of different cranes and what you should and should not be paying for them. First of all, let's cover something called a boom crane. They drive their single units and they're able to take and solve the problem of getting over top of terrace changes, elevation changes, things that we can't get up to with our machines. These are going to lift somewhere in the neighborhood of about 60 to 68 feet from the center point of that crane to the center point of where your pool is. Even if we're taking a different route, they're still able to set that pool and get it from the street to your hole. These cranes should be in somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1,000. That should be about the max that you're going to pay, maybe a little bit over depending on your area. But anything that you see exceeding $2,000, maybe if it's 3, 4, 5, you've got a crooked contractor that's pocketing the difference, and you need to make sure that you're calling them on it and really that you're checking that pricing out before you sign that contract. The second crane that we're going to deal with is when you have to get further than that. Maybe you have to lift right over the house. Many times we can solve that problem with what we call a street crane. By the time they come in, there's 2 flatbed semis following behind them with a whole bunch of counterweights, and they stretch out their stabilizers, taking up the whole street. It's quite a production, and chances are you're the star of the neighborhood because everybody's recording it happening. These things could solve a huge problem. They can get over 1- and 2-story houses. They can lift sometimes 160 to 180 feet away from their center point to the center of your pool, and they can get it pretty much over top of just about everything. Typical charges on these cranes are going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $5,000 to $6,000. When you start seeing $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 crane charges, that's a crooked contractor that's simply taking the money and pocketing the difference. If they can't get it done for a price that's around that amount, then chances are they're either not trying or they're counting on being able to pocket that difference. You should get at least 3 quotes. You need to have different contractors come out, all agree that you need a crane independently, and kind of see where their pricing is at. Even in situations where we've had to shut down streets and we've had to have police escorts, we still haven't seen crane charges over $10,000. So if you're getting quotes for $12,000 or $14,000, you're being taken advantage of by the contractor. It's important to understand that a crane is going to tie up your neighborhood for a period of time. It'll actually usually only take somewhere around 20 to 30 minutes to set the pool. However, the setup time for these guys borders on about an hour to an hour and a half. That is going to also occupy driveways for probably about 3 or 4 homes on either side, and it's important to let your neighbors know and make sure everybody's going to be cool with that. As you get closer to the process happening, usually we're sending out letters, or hopefully your contractor is sending out letters just letting your neighbors know what goes on. And usually we try to schedule it sometime in the midday when everybody's kind of gone anyway. This is important to understand how these crane charges work. When you need a crane, I definitely think you should check out the video on what size pool can I fit in my yard. That will help answer some of these questions. Cranes are necessary in a lot of situations. They're not necessary in a lot of others. And you need to make sure you get those multiple quotes to make sure you don't get taken advantage of on your job. Guys, we're keeping the dream a dream and keeping it from being a nightmare. We'll see you on the next one.